kind of video that shows you guys how to drag tune. I mean, I'm going to do it my own way. There are many different methods of doing this, and everybody has their own way of doing it. This is just quick. You're not going to set leaderboard times. This is a rear-wheel drive example. All-wheel drive kind of works the same way, but front-wheel drive is basically this. This with Rolls-Royce Wraith. Don't worry about it. I just picked a car at random, so yeah. You all gotta be like, hey, don't do this. Rear-wheel drive car at random that I didn't really want. Do a V8 because everybody else does V8. I want to do something different. Why not? So, first things first, what you need is either the Hot Wheels tires, the Horizon tires, or race tires. Doesn't matter. I just go with the last one because it's the simplest. Don't put front tires on it. Biggest back tires you can find on it. Obvious common sense. You want traction. Pull this upgraded. The drag builds are pretty much full out cars, so weight reduction, yes. If it's not 50-50 weight distribution, which is the, I don't know why they made it that way, that should have said distribution. But if it says 51%, which it's 51% to the front, so it's obviously not 50-50, you put a roll cage in it. There are very few cars that are actually 50-50. You want rally suspension. There are reasons why you want rally suspension is because it's softer. And it actually starts to, you'll notice rally suspension kind of sags the back end, front end, and depending on where you go and whatnot. I'll show you when I get to the tuning part why that works and why it doesn't. So, yeah, I'll show you that in a minute. Give a bad example, but I kind of just picked. Problem being with this car is that it's very heavy, so, but it is very powerful. Kind of like a Hellcat, sort of. In the middle there. Okay, so what we want to do with the flywheel is one of the most important things. You want to go to your benchmarks setup here. You want to check your numbers. Okay, that made it worse. That one's the first one. And that was the second. So if they're the same number and nothing changes, always pick the lightest one. At least that's what I do. I mean, race flywheel is literally the same number, but the street flywheel is different. Actually, a higher number, so you don't want to use that because it'll make your 0 to 60 slower. So, but the race one is lighter, and it's the exact same numbers, so you might as well go with the lightest one. Other than the fact that if that number is higher than the one for the stock one, there's a lot of cars that have that, and you really need to pay attention to it because it actually does drop like significantly. Okay, so I use any kind of light wheel. There are a bunch of like looking wheels. So either this one, which I don't think one of those on this car. Or you can go to multi-piece, and there is a company called Shot, and you can either go with the Sun Stars, which don't look good on this car, the Whole Star, or the Solids. preference thing. Wheels that Mickey Thompsons do, I guess. Put those on. I mean, these ones are heavier. I wouldn't recommend those, but they do look way better. But I would recommend like this one or one of the whole shots. I mean, the drag wheels look terrible, but they are lighter and they look like drag wheels. They're quite a bit lighter. So. I'm actually gonna go with the Mickeys on this. The Mickeys on this might actually work. Okay, so that's done. Check and see if you have any bumpers or anything available. Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you about a wing. I don't put wings on my cars because usually when you get to the mile, it actually drops your speed significantly because you're creating drag. Even if you put it on your like minimum speed variant on the tuning setup, it still causes a wee bit of drag and it will actually slow you down to some degree. I don't run one. I don't bother with it. Now, if you're running quarter mile, maybe it's acceptable that you would have a wing, but when you get down to the mile, it's not worth it. So that's a preference thing. If you could, you can go ahead. Would not run front arrow because front arrow is pretty well doesn't help you at all. It just adds weight to the car and does it drag. Now, if you're building a track car, yeah, definitely you want that, but meh, really on a drag build, it's kind of counterproductive. And make this car all-wheel drive, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just doing a rear-wheel drive drag build, which you'll find there's some people that will only drag rear-wheel drives. There's some people that only drag all-wheel drives. There's children that only drag all-wheel drives mainly. But let's be completely frank and say that there are some people that go out and just want to build. Okay. Oh, this comes out to 901 horsepower and 4,000 pounds. It's quite a bit lighter and quite a bit more powerful in stock. And whenever the fuck here, okay. You go to your tuning, and you want to put this all the way to now 15. Right? Other people put this to 15. I don't bother. Front doesn't matter. Honestly, I tried so many different tunes. It does not matter. Okay. So you want this to be 0, 0. You want this to be 0, 0. What the camber does is makes the tires kind of toe, well, not really toe, but what they do is it pushes the front. If you don't know what camber is by now, camber game is when basically you have your tires pointed like a triangle towards each other, and that comes out and hides in your fenders or whatnot. It's a cool stancy thing, but drag racing, it's not necessary. You don't need your tires to do anything. Now, what I would do is actually positive them just a slight bit. Now, positive is the opposite. You want your tires to, top of your tires to lean out towards the tires instead of towing in towards the bodywork. Now, tip in towards the bodywork, not toe in, tip in to the bodywork. If you're doing a stance car, you want negative camber. If you're doing a drag build, you want very, very minimum of camber, and you want it positive. Just on the front, the back, you want as flat as possible. So that you want your canister all the way up. That's with everything. I've never seen a build that hasn't had 7 degrees of camber or caster. You want your sway bars as stiff as possible because you don't want any like rocking back and forth going on. Essentially, when you think about it. Springs. You want them as soft as you want in the front. This is just kind of a benchmark to get you guys going. This is big. You're gonna notice something. I skipped gearing. You'll know why in as soon as I'm done tuning. You want to leave your ride height as high as possible with the rally suspension on it, because that gives you that extra. When the car takes off, having the rear end stiff will actually squat the back end of the car and lift up the front, creating air to get under the front. Force of logic, Force of logic wants you to have the front tires a little bit floaty, so you want your suspension stiff at the back. It'll stay flat. So same here. You want your front soft, your rear stiff. Now the bump stiffness is the opposite. You want the front stiff and the back soft. The explanation for that basically is when it comes onto the bump stops, the back end will have very little bump stop, but it will just hit on the spring's actual stiffness of the springs, so it will actually go all the way and bottom out the springs, whereas the front will hit, since they're soft, they want to hit the biggest bump stops possible to stop it from going all the way down. Theoretically, that's how it works. I'm not a genius. I'm not like a physics major or whatnot, but that's how it was explained to me. So, anyway, you want your differentials all the way up. Obviously, you want it to lock. So when you take off, both tires spin at the same speed. Theoretical logic there is drift car logic. That basically want the tires to be on the same pattern as both sides. So if you have this and you have like way to fuck down here, you're gonna have one side that won't. Well, if you have your setup like something like that, deceleration only works when you're like slowing. Basically, deacceleration works when you're slowing down. Acceleration is when you're speeding up. So both tires are on different lock patterns. When you have it like all the way low, the tires don't lock together. The back wheels don't lock together. So you only have one that's spinning at a time. So it's like basically you have one tire spinning at a time. So if that tire loses traction, the other one tries, but it doesn't. It might have enough traction either. So the only one tire will work at a time, kind of thing. Whereas if you have it like somewhere in the 25 range, one will spin and one will spin at 0.25 faster or whatever, quarter of the way faster. 50%, one will spin one rotation, the other one will spin half rotation. Basically, you want a 1-to-1 ratio. You want them both to be on the same one rotation. If that makes sense. So you'll notice I didn't touch the. Okay. Second tip. You want to make sure that you are in manual clutch. It's this. You can actually stall the car out at 2,000 RPM by pushing the brake and the gas at the same time. You don't have to touch the clutch, just kind of do that. The more power the car has, the easier this will be. Okay, so I just spun through first gear, so obviously it's not first gear that I need to take off in. Not second. Now third didn't spin, but it's a little laggy. I would go to my gearing now, go to third gear, see it's at 210. So what I would do is match that one, but I go a little bit higher. Instead of going to 210, I'll match first gear with like 250. We'll try that. And then we'll go and match that second gear with our fourth gear. This is how I do it. A lot of people do it differently. A lot of people don't agree with me. So, whatever. I'm just not saying I'm wrong, but I'm not right, not wrong, right, wrong. So you want to match each gear up with its predecessor that's on the next row. Shit. If you lose track of your gearing, what you do is just jam it up to fucking acceleration all the way. And remember where that little dot cube thing is in final drive. See the hollow cube? You're going to want to I'm confused. I lost track of where I was going here. There's like no difference in between these gears. Okay. We're missing something in between those two. Okay, so what I do is put it back to whatever. I'm going to fix this right now because I know there's a dead spot in those gears. You basically want to try and get each one of these lined up with its predecessor on the next band. Kind of. Each gear has its own band, so in the transmission you'll notice that you'll see a line, like if you draw a line across each of the bottom of these except for the first one, you'll notice that there's about a little bit of space in between each one. So what you're going to do is try and get the similar amount of space in each gearing without kind of... See, I'm very meticulous with this. Some people are just like, yeah, it's probably good stock. I'm not like that. So you'll see me play with this a lot because I'm pretty particular about my gearing. So then you go back to your stock gear ratio, which was, I think mine was 281. Hold on. 281. Okay, so 281. I go to third gear. Try and launch it. It'll bog like a bitch. Now see if I go to first gear. A little bit better, but not perfect. Because I would go back to first gear, bump it up to 260. Also do it with the e-brake. I'm still finding that's a little bit too slow. Okay, so it's basically trying to kind of, massage it a little bit. You just keep going. You put it up to like 270. The second gear has a little bit of gap in it now because I made first gear too short. Or it. Ah! What am I doing? Okay, there we go. Having a mental breakdown, it's okay. So I'm finding that that one's not working either, so I'll go 280. Go back down to first gear. How about if I go 280, but it'll take off properly? And that's what I want. We'll go 290 and see what happens. It's basically all trial and error about this. Find what works for the car. Yeah, I'm spinning now, okay? That doesn't... See, it's... So let's go 285, since 290 is too much. Now, second gear's a little short. Second gear's too long. First gear now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to massage all the gears down a little bit. You'll notice the further you go up your gear ratios, the further it gets away from your basically bare bones minimum what you want. So now that shouldn't change. Just make the second gear a little bit closer to first. A little bit of wheel spin is okay. You want a clean pull all the way through the gears. You don't want to stop. You see the front end kind of doing this bouncy thing. Notice that it's a little harder to steer at high speeds because the rear end's stiff, the front end's soft. Notice that your car will no longer turn properly. There's a back end push kind of thing through it. For a drag build, that's what you want. Now, I'm going to do, I said, last video about the Mini Cooper when I did the Rivals Challenge. There is actually a drag race Rivals Challenge. Race Rivals. Drag Rivals. Here there's like a mobile game. So here's what I'm going to do. Thanks. Right. I'll park right here. Go down here to festival routes. Really? Fuck off. Hold on. Anyway, okay, I'm back. So, we're going to go to the airport. We're going to look at what class it is up in the top corner beside my name, which is It's Difficult 013. And if you want to, hit me up with a friend request, fine too. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go and, we got Mr. GTR Fanboy here. That's probably a, no, sorry. We got, oh, he's in the dark. Okay. So what we're going to do, really freaking fast. So, okay, we got a lot of people in Hemi Darts. I can't really do much about that. I mean, that's just how the leaderboard works. I'm just gonna find some dude on our crew here, Hard Rock, whatever. And we're gonna, like, sorry if I offended you, but we're just gonna use it because I have a Mustang Ghost and it's way too fast. So we're just gonna use that one and we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose. We will lose. I guarantee we will lose, but that's fine. It's an all-wheel drive dart. Okay. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our rivals event. Oh. I hit the wrong button. Okay. I picked a car with a lot of speed. Show you guys what. The lighter the car, the faster you're gonna go. That's kind of the more power plus the less weight. You kind of gotta tweak the gearing more. There's lots of drag builds out there that are like that. That's just normal. And Dodge darts and stuff are really fast like this. You take a little more gearing wise. This took a lot of gearing. Some cars just pick up gearing like crazy. Like you just change first gear and you're good to go. But there's other ones that you gotta like kind of like RX-7s are hard to tune. That's just normal because they're light, especially if they're LS powered. They're particularly tricky to tune. Honestly, I don't like when people put V12s and V10s and stuff because rear-wheel drive to me is more purist. And if you're just doing V8 stuff, it's fine. Whole like classes and stuff, and it gets really fun. Like, well, let's go 750, 2,700 pound, and people gotta stick within that rules. You know, like, get some pretty good builds out of it. Like, it's some, there are some cars that are really good, like your Buicks, your Grand Nationals, your Grand Nationals, Monte Carlos, pretty much any of the leaderboard cars. You got your Monte Carlos, you got your Grand Natties, you got your. But if you ban these cars, you got your Fox bodies, you got a bunch of stuff still. Like there are some cars that are apparently way faster, and that's are. You have two cars that are at 2,700 pounds, and it just comes down how the guy tuned the car. All comes down to how his gearing is. Just doing off the light street racing. Honestly, or you can just do the off the light. He sits in the middle of two cars, hits his lights 3 times or 1 time. Like 1 light, some people like 3 lights in reverse. Drag is an interesting like side project. Into it, have a lot of fun with it, especially rear-wheel drive drag. All-wheel drive, if you're against all-wheel drive, is fun. If you're in an all-wheel drive and you're against the rear-wheel drive guy, you're not going to have any fun because it's not worth it, man. Honestly, it's just, you're just going to have fun. Okay, just saying. Fun is fun. I like having fun. Okay? I'm a drag racer in like real life. Anyway, I want a close race when I go drag racing. So honestly, I want a close race when I'm playing Forza too. That's pretty much it. Anyway, this has been a quick kind of tutorial. I'll just show you what I come up with and whatnot. So there's your tires, 2015. You got your 2015. Hold on, 2017. Anyway, you got your 281, 285, 197, 151, 151 Malibu rum. Anyway, 121, 102, 88, 60, 48. You can try all these yourself and see how they work for you. You can tweak them, whatever, do whatever you want. The only reason I put this one as a 48 was that it was the end gear, and if you ever got that high, which you wouldn't, but it wouldn't be enough strip to do that. But if it is, you're pretty much limitless until you run out of power when your gearing is that low. When your gearing is that high. Sorry, never mind. I did it wrong. Anyway, as long as your gearing is kind of like set up so each gear is kind of a little bit longer than the next one, then you're good. Like, really. That's what they call an isometric gear ratio, and that is literally perfection when you're building any kind of vehicle. That's what you want. There are companies out there that make gear ratios that are not like this. For drag racing, this is your perfect thing. Now, if you're cruising around, you might want, third to be a little bit longer. Companies make their cars to be fuel efficient. That's why they do that. So if you're cruising in your Lexus and you put it in fucking sixth or whatever, it's going to be like Mustang. Mustang's a good one for this. The GT500 or possibly even the base GT, 6th gear is pretty much just for conserving fuel. That's just the way it is. So you're driving your manual Mustang and you just, slip it into 6th gear. You're going to be using a quarter of the RPM you would be in 5th. 5th is pretty much your last speed gear. The one after that, you will not gain any more speed and you will just maintain speed. But you won't gain, you'll hear it bog as soon as you put it in 6th. It's the same in this game. Like, it's the exact. So what you want is to make your gears a little bit longer than the next one before it. So the gear on the right, farthest right, first gear, you want it to be as short as possible, which is towards acceleration on this. So short as possible without spinning the tires. So the way you look at it is like that. So if you want it to spin tires, you would put it even higher in the acceleration zone. You could still tweak this and try and make it work, and it probably would, but it's all theoretical. You can go to the minimum, like, let's say it's spun at 90, you should try like 87, but it's starting to spin at like this, so, I mean, this is pretty well perfect. You can always tweak every gear that you want to make it your own. Gearing is pretty much the only thing that changes in drag racing, let's be honest. Some people tweak the suspensions, but it's the preference. I mean, some people will run their suspension backwards. I don't know how they do it, but they're also fast. I don't get it. This is just how I do it. You might find somebody that's like, oh, yeah, that's all wrong. That's the way they do it. I do it one way, they do it a different way. Pretty much like any tuning, everybody's different. Even drift tunes, drag tunes, everybody's different. This is just what I find works for me and what I like to do. And I find it works for me and I get pretty good results out of it. I mean, it's all whatever you want, man. It's all on you, people. It's all on you. I didn't change it, though. I didn't change it, though. Anyway, so that's been Wraith drag build. Oh, and you can still do burnouts. Like, it's not like you can't do burnouts still. You just have to hold the clutch in to get your revs up. Yeah, it's. You know what I mean? Rolls-Royce is a nice car, but what I've done to it is kind of brutality. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Enjoyed the video. Enjoyed it. Anyway, if hopefully you guys like this, and hopefully you found it kind of helpful for the people that are like, I don't like drag racing, it sucks, tuning's gay. Hopefully this helped you, man. This is just how I do it, and if you want, this will work with most cars. All you have to do is figure out your gearing, and basically it's just going through the gears and figuring, oh, I spin in this one, I don't spin in this one, and I usually just leave the final drive alone. There are some cases when you're trying to build like a full out build where you'll change the final drive. That's a different case. That's when you want to get more serious into it. You can, but what I do is just leave the factory gearing on the final drive setting, which is your rear def, really, and you just change the rest of it. I mean, there are people that completely wipe out all the gears, and they'll just run like a 3-gear tune. Their acceleration is fully maxed out, and they're just running gears as low as they are. But that's kind of doing the reverse of what I did. So, whereas I didn't eliminate gear, well, I kind of did. I just made them too high. Basically, they do the same things, but they just, yeah. It's drag racers are a unique bunch, and they have their own things. You'll learn that, and usually you'll get called out, and it's fun to get called out, and it's fun to have a close race. It's not fun to be called out and realize that you just went against a pro and you just got your butt kicked. That's not fun. Oh. But that's what you gotta watch out for. It's like, oh no, I can kick that, Mustang 2, no problem. Mustang 2s are one of the fastest drag cars. So, yeah, if it's a Mustang 2, don't go against it. That's just straight knowledge. Some cars are slower than others. That's just the way they are. Anyway, so that's the Rolls-Royce drag build. Actually, yeah. Yeah, pretty much it for this video. Like, comment, whatever. Wish, easygoing guy, man. Don't get wound up about it all. So, yeah. Drag cars don't stop either, by the way. Planning on making a drag car that's also a street car, I would not recommend that. Just a failure idea. Don't do it. Yeah. I mean, you can do it, I guess, but there's different tuning. I guess you'd have to change some things. Anyway, that's been this video. I really ran out of ideas, and this is going on way too long. Wait. Peace, y'all. Keep your sticks on the ice. I'm just waiting for Twitch to, like, stop it. Stop it! Stop it! Yeah, of course it would freeze. Beautiful! This is what I gotta deal with. This. This. This is what I have to deal with. Oh my god. Hold on. Anyway, since I'm still here waiting for this to, like, die, yeah, if you guys been liking these builds and, you want more advice, maybe I'll do, like, a drifting one or another whatever. I have a couple of good drift cars that I like, so I'll probably be doing that eventually. Uh, Come on, Twitch, don't be gay. Twitch is being gay. So, yeah, if you want more builds or whatnot, oh my god. I want to die. Anyway, so if you guys are wanting more builds or whatnot, and so yeah, that's your whatever's for this week. And so, if you want the Porsche Cayenne, you gotta do some Ibizus with your jump and drifts and stuff, which are kind of cool if you're into that. Yeah. Fuckers. You know what? You know what? I. Oh. Yep. Yep. Yep.